Well then, welcome back. What an amazing day, huh?
Amazing. Oh my God. Yesterday, I guess Safeway ran out of a really good champagne.
Yeah,
I think everybody's buying champagne.
yeah, it's pretty remarkable because even as you said, you were just telling me that in the last hour, which when I wasn't checking the news, they unsealed the uh,
Indictments.
the
And Joyce
indictment.
Vance said she went to the last page and she said it's not seven charges, it's 328.
Wow, no, I mean, look, I mean, let's face it. The thing about this guy, which it's such a shame in
I
this
know.
country that there are so many people following a person who is basically a lifelong criminal and an imbecile. One of the things about him is that he's like one of those Hogan's Heroes characters. He's not that smart, so he keeps doing these crazy things that get him in deeper and deeper and deeper. And at some point, they simply don't work. And one of the
Yeah.
things, by the way, with the astrology is that this is happening, as tends to happen, right near the Saturn station. Like last year, the Saturn station was when the January 6th committee got started, and I'm sure he didn't like that either. He spent a good long while watching them taking him apart, and now here he is on another level. But
Uh-huh.
where Saturn is, it's still nowhere near his actual planets. They're later in the sign, so things don't get better; they get worse.
Yes.
It's just the way the planets work. If you're already having problems early on, you're only going to have more problems later. So yeah, the odds are that despite you probably heard the entire GOP is saying it's the Biden Justice Department and it's a witch hunt, and I mean they're all in on it. Fox News, everyone, but without even looking at the charges, right? I wonder what they'll say after today.
Oh,
Maybe.
the charges are out. They're unrolling them as we speak. Joyce Vance on the news just said it's beyond seven indictments. It's 38, 328. There's nuclear information he took. Apparently, his family is partially in this too, or making comment to him about it, so they knew. Um, he shared it. They haven't said. I haven't heard if he sold it yet. If
Yeah,
he
I
sold
know
the
that'll be
information,
next, right? Oh yeah,
but
by the
they're
way,
just now unrolling it, and MSNBC is going crazy. They're all got the paperwork and they're reading it. So, you guys, this is going to be. Thank you, Andre. People ask, tell me, thank you for keeping us calm. This is the reason why the Republicans will jump ship and also throw tomatoes at Trump. It's so egregious, and he's done a lot of egregious things. First of all, it's the Republicans' fault too, because this man, as some news person was saying, this man had his university had to pay millions of dollars for that because it was a fraud. For a benefit program, him and his sons did, that was a fraud. He's known, he's done like 78 civil cases and I don't know what all, but they still put him in anyway. And they even said, Lindsey Graham said, if we put in Donald Trump, we will pay for it. And boy, was he right.
yeah, no, he actually said more than that. He said we will be destroyed.
Yeah.
What he said.
And that's what Trump is doing. So I don't see, and you'll tell me, and this is your show, so I should keep my
No, no,
mouth
no,
shut,
no,
but
no. You're the
I
guest.
don't
Speak.
see Armageddon as far as riots and stuff are concerned. Once the real information comes out, it makes people sort of stand still,
Yeah,
except
no,
for Matt
yeah.
Gaetz and those people.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of common, when you go on and you watch news, what do you always see? I mean, in a way, it just keeps repeating and repeating. You see a panel, and I saw this yesterday briefly. The guy that was involved in the 90s in the Whitewater investigation clearly is going to be a Republican leaning person. And he started saying things like, well, you have to keep in mind that in Miami, when they go there could be violence because people were really upset. And I thought, I don't know about that because we saw in New York. Now these guys have seen that you get put in jail when you
Yeah.
play these games, and it's much tougher, to the second time, to do these things, much tougher. So yeah, I'm skeptical about the violent part as
And
well.
also, Jack Smith is actually going to make a statement at 12 noon, you guys, Pacific time.
Yeah, no, he'll probably. By the way, segue. Jack Smith, the New York Times published his birthday, so now we
Oh,
know, and it's uh, obviously different than the chart that I had found this chart on the site. I have no idea why they
You
quoted
weren't
that.
quite comfortable with it. I remember that.
Yeah,
When
right.
is
But
his
this,
birthday so I can send him a birthday card?
it's June 5th, 1969. So he just
Okay.
had his birthday. You missed it.
Okay.
But,
But he's giving us a birthday
okay.
present.
And by the way, that maybe we can put to rest.
Okay.
People often say things like, oh, Trump is a Gemini, Barr is a Gemini, Giuliani's a Gemini, MTG is a Gemini. Yeah, Jack Smith is a Gemini too. The sign is not the problem. It's the person expressing the sign. So let's get that out of the way, right? You don't have to be a crook just because you're Gemini.
Right.
Now, the thing is, in his chart, the thing that is most dangerous to Trump isn't the Gemini part. It's that he has multiple planets in Virgo, your sign, squaring Trump, which means that it's a big problem because he's leaning into him really hard. Right now, we don't know his birth time. We just might know his birth date, but there's plenty there for him to work with. In particular, the year we're in right now is very good for Virgo because of the Jupiter cycle. Jupiter in Taurus is really helpful. So that's likely to enhance, Smith's position, right?
Right. And Virgo, that means he doesn't leave any box unchecked. He thinks outside the box. He's making sure they had all their, let me tell you, that they just up and decided to do this is bull. They've been working on this for a long time.
No, totally. And the thing about Virgo is very detail oriented. So a Virgo in their craft will look at all the angles. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure, he's done it. And it's remarkable to me that some of these guys that are saying it's all, the Biden Justice Department, the typical way, the DOJ, the typical way it works, by the way, even when Bill Barr, when it was a Republican DOJ, they don't bring charges to anyone unless they're sure they're going to convict you. They just don't do it. That's why they take so long and people get all frustrated. Oh, why?
Yeah, but Durham did 2 people and he lost both cases.
Yeah, well, no, but that was Barr. That was because they assigned something, to look for problems that weren't there. I'm saying when someone has committed an actual crime, when something has happened, God help you if they charge you because you're in a lot of trouble. Once they go in,
especially an ex-president.
Well, an ex-president is more dangerous to them. I mean, they have to be more careful. Yeah. But I mean, exactly. Like, why do you think? Ask yourself this: someone like Garland, who seems to be fairly middle of the road conservative, why would he have ordered a raid on Mar-a-Lago unless he knew there was something really bad happening? Why? I mean,
and here's the other thing: the MSNBC people are saying, as they're reading all this paperwork, they're saying they're going crazy. By the way, you can see smoke coming off their fingers. They said, he had plenty of chances to do what they asked him to do. Yes. Now, this wouldn't be an issue, but he refused.
Right.
And they're talking now. He has nuclear information. He took defense info. That's huge.
Yeah.
How are those Matt Gaetz and all that going to act like, he had the right.
He'll try though. I mean, it's amazing too, because he constantly lives off the message, and the message has many people mesmerized. For now, at least, right? But for example, I remember hearing this early on, and it was repeated over the last few days, that the documents don't have to be classified. You are not allowed to hold a national defense document, even if it's unclassified. And you certainly can't show it to someone. It doesn't matter whether it's classified or not, right? But that he uses that, he wants to confuse. He always uses the same technique. The problem with these techniques, though, is they work until the planets get you. Sometimes the cycles, they're too hard.
Oh, you've been predicting this, my friend.
Well, I mean,
me too, but
yeah, no, I know.
You laid it out for us in astrology, and you said he's been getting away, sliding through, and watch what happens here. And that's exactly when it started.
Yeah, in the spring, like in the March period, as soon as Saturn entered Pisces, we started hearing, like almost immediately, Bragg is going to charge him. And then, boom, and they charge. Now this, right? And what about Fani Willis? That comes in the summer. And do you think Smith isn't looking at January 6th? He's looking at January 6th.
He's in the middle of it now. And I think that's even bigger because I think all kinds of people are going to get charged.
As they must, as they should, right? That's the logic, right? I mean, the only now here's what I would ask you this. What about the fact that his only defense is going to be to file motions and try to extend and delay, which is what he always does. And there's a thinking out there that kind of says they won't be able to get him in court before the election, to actually convict him. That's one of the strains of thought out there. What do you
I
feel
see him
about that?
convicted.
You see him convicted?
Yeah.
Okay, well then fine.
I don't see him. I see him. Okay, so they can't convict him if he's president. Okay, so let's say he wins the to go to run as the Republican. He's going down before. I'm telling you, he could never be president.
Do you feel like, okay, so this is the big question, right? Because the readers will talk about things like, no, he's not going to be the nominee. Yes, he's going to be the nominee.
Yeah, he's real close, but you'll be surprised. I'm almost feeling he won't be now because all these people up in arms. Oh, yes, let's take. And then as they hear the details of everything he did, including the January 6th, he started it. He won't take responsibility. You're still going to have your diehards. But let me tell you, the numbers for Trump aren't as big as you think.
No, they're not. No, well, I'll tell you. They're numbers that I saw, I think it was this morning or last night. So right now, roughly, I know I'm going to be off by 3 or 4 points, but right now, in the Republican Party, people that are in that party, 60% think that he should still be president even if he's done these things, right? 40% think not. That's pretty bad because that's almost
pretty bad.
half. And then Democrats is like 90-10. 90% say no, but independents, it's 60+% say no. So in other words, his numbers are really bad. And the problem is just logically, as we go into every month going forward, it can only get worse, both because he's Trump and Trump always makes things worse, and because his chart is getting worse and worse. I don't see how, in fact, this may lead to the other thing, which I keep bringing up. He's got some problem health aspects in there. He's really writing dangerous. They're same way. It really looks a lot similar to like Putin's chart. Very maladjusted and in danger of sickness. So
yeah,
maybe he's not as Teflon that way because he's probably feeling a lot of pressure.
Right. But I really feel that he's going to get hit really hard again. Something that must be Fanny. Something else is coming up. And it's just so much that people are going to start looking for someone who can be in there. And they don't like Satan either.
It's too bad that, just from the point of view of, I'm not sure that he would be, my candidate overall. It's kind of like pointing to Liz Cheney and saying, at least she's speaking up. But I really like the things that Chris Christie is saying.
I know. Me too.
It's hilarious. Yeah. He's another one.
But he's got a 6% approval rating in New Jersey.
Low. I know. It's pretty low. I know it's pretty low. But
he'll keep talking.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. I think he's a Virgo too. So that's another.
Oh, is he?
That's where you see but then the thing is with him though, Christie, I believe, if I'm recalling, he's early in the sign. So then by being early in the sign, he's getting Jupiter help, but also Saturn pressure. So that's why people are saying, yeah, but you used to help him, and who's going to believe you anyway? And it's a more difficult path for him. Yeah, he
won't be one of the ones getting indicted. That's for sure.
No, I don't think so. No.
I also see Jared Kushner going down. I've seen this since the beginning. And I always saw that vision my guides gave me of Republicans jumping off the ship. Like, oh, shoot, we better get out of here. Yeah. So, entertainment purposes only. Now, listen, did you take a look-see at Aileen?
I did. So, Aileen Cannon, why are you asking? Because if they might try to...
Well, they're saying she's been assigned, and I'm not in fear of her. And I think Jack Smith knew that this could be a possibility, that she would be assigned. I'm almost feeling either she has to recuse herself or she's recusing herself, because the 11th Circuit Court overturned her decisions with Trump, which was very favorable to Trump, twice. And it took it out of her hands. And so now she's back on board. So she would go for Trump, most definitely. And this would be her opportunity to show she can be a good judge. But this is a heavy duty case. And I'm almost feeling Jack Smith petitions the 11th Circuit and says, make her step down, and it's very unusual to do that because we know her history. What did you see? What sign is she?
Well, she's Scorpio. The thing is that you could see in her chart the jam she got into before and why it wasn't going to work out, it is it's not nearly as much pressure now, but there's also not a whole lot of engagement. So that fits what you're saying, that it may be that she's not part of it at all. Like she doesn't
Yeah.
enjoy, because usually when you see a person being part of something this controversial, you will see it in the chart. And I'm looking and I'm kind of going, nothing to grab onto. So
Right.
it's easier for her, but it's easier because she's not involved type thing.
Right. And it's a
That fits.
huge criminal case, and she's mostly civil. And
Right.
the other thing is the 11th Circuit is conservative. Trump appointed, and they all said, no, you can't do what you're doing. You crazy girl.
Right. Yeah. No. So then yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Based on now, again, we don't have a birth time, which could maybe change it some, but the feel of it is that all that pressure she was in was between like the fall of 22 and then into early this year, which turned out poorly, as you could, tell from the chart and all that. But then it kind of, by like the Saturn change for her reduces all the pressure in her case, right? It's the
Right.
opposite
But
of Trump.
also, she's a Scorpio, and she's a Scorpio woman. So maybe all this stuff that she was working on before seemed nonsense to her, and they were picking on him. But she takes a look at these indictments and all this stuff he did. It may even scare her. Like, you know what? It'd be easier for her to step down.
Potentially, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the bottom line on that, if the pressure, because the thing is with whenever you see situations that are this intense, you always see a lot of planetary pressure, even for people that are on the good side, right? It has to be there. It's never like a total smooth slam dunk, right?
Yeah.
That even includes Jack Smith because in Gemini, being a Gemini, he's in the path of Saturn too. He'll have
Oh,
to.
I have to readdress something. I'm sorry. I thought it said 328. I am totally wrong, you guys. It says hit Trump is facing 37 counts, not 7.
36.
Yeah, that's a lot. 328. Sorry.
Wait, 30,
That makes
37,
sense.
37 counts or
37 counts.
oh, okay.
Special counsel indictment. Trump is facing 37 counts.
I guess it's a little less than 328. But still a lot. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, that makes, I guess it makes a little more sense because it's the logic that when they say seven areas, well, it'll probably be multiple things in each area, right? That
Okay.
add to it. But yeah, but the fact that, as you said, when you bring in, um, you know, nuclear stuff, showing documents that are related to national security,
He showed people.
yeah, no, that's
They
the
haven't said
part.
if he sold it yet. We just got to hear if he sold some information.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
They're not flagging it right now because I think if he did, they'd say, oh my God, Trump sold information to so and so. But remember, the CIA was saying some of their people overseas were being knocked off, killed. I'm sure he gave Putin everything he wanted.
Yeah, he's just such a dangerous man because he lives in his head for himself and he has no problem throwing anybody overboard, as long as
Right.
it helps. Like I believe Trump is the kind of person that if he could, he would order people shot. He would do like a
Oh,
total
he
Hitler
would.
thing.
He even asked them to shoot the people who were Black Lives Matter.
Oh, yeah,
Can't
exactly,
you shoot
exactly,
them? Even just shoot them in the leg, he said. Can you
exactly.
put me on pause 1 second?
Yep. So,
I'm so excited. I can't begin to tell you. Now,
I know.
listen, I feel that the January 6th might not even be till November of this year. But it's going to be so much stuff that he's a turnoff. Like people are like done with him.
Yeah,
He's too much work.
I mean, that's the thing that for Trump, when all is said and done, he has to go through the process to get the nomination, and the press is so bad that it just, in other words, the Christie message, because Christie will probably start saying, why don't you guys focus on the fact that this guy's a loser? He doesn't win anything. He keeps telling you he wins, he keeps losing. So, after a while, that message could get through.
And the thing that the people were talking on the show, they just can't get over how he had so many opportunities to make it right.
Oh, for
We
sure.
wouldn't even have this. All he had to do was give back what he said, and instead he held on to them and showed them to other people because they were his, by God.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I had the right.
Yeah, no, he has the right, and like someone said, he's in the end he's a really stupid man, but he's really stubborn. He'll
Very stubborn. Well, I get to do this. And can I ask you, you're not really, you're an astrologer, but based on his chart, does it look like he's kind of reviewing things and thinking, what an idiot, or no?
Uh, that's like, okay, that question is like, for example, I'll give you an example of that. So the high end and low end of a house. So he's got planets in the 12th. That's a place where people that are normal, and then as they start to be better citizens, that's where you pray and meditate and do spiritual retreats. Like, do you seriously believe this guy would ever get anywhere near anything like that? He is playing the low end of that house, which is criminality, which is why that house is associated to monasteries and prisons. It's like the totality of your karma ends either in the slammer, you get sequestered for your previous deeds, or you reach toward illuminating yourself by retreating into a monastery, or at least practicing that way for a period. That's the logic. Saturn comes from there. That's why it's being highlighted in his life right now, in the place that it's in. Review, no, I think Trump is like a machine, a moment to moment machine trying to survive and win the next battle, all based on what he's done before. I don't think he has no, I don't. In fact, don't be surprised if in the next days, weeks, he keeps making things worse and worse by the things he's saying, right? Because, by the way, he doesn't seem to realize that every single thing he said can be used in court.
Oh, yeah. Him and some other wackos in Congress are calling for a civil war.
Well, okay. I mean, you can call for a civil war.
I don't see the ruckus. Just like even with when he wanted people to come out and fight, and 6 people showed up at Mar-a-Lago. There won't be any marching or anything for him. He's worn everybody out.
Yeah, and I mean, how are you going to conduct a civil war? How does that even work? What are you defending exactly? You can't defend territory. What are you defending?
Yeah.
It just makes no sense. And yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I feel like exactly that we said it earlier, that the odds that he gets, but this is what he wants. Remember, he used to say, this will mean death and destruction. Now he's down to, our country's going to hell and we must not let it happen. He stopped that. I don't see it. You're right. There might be a few incidents. There might be a few things, but people that do that will just get, they'll be, prosecuted or killed. I mean, look at that guy that reacted and went out and charged into the FBI office. Like, what kind of crazy person are you? Even if you have an AR-15, like, what are you trying to do exactly? You'll get yourself killed. It's like someone, rushing into an army of 1,000 soldiers and thinking, oh, I'm just going to shoot them all. No, you're not. You'll probably lose. So yeah.
So when you looked at Jack, does he look good in the up and coming time here? Is he
definitely? He looks good.
He definitely looks good.
Yeah, because of the Jupiter energy is getting a lot of support. From
that's
Taurus.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's like a winning chart. Like, it looks like he'll get his way.
It is, but he is a Gemini. It's just that he feels the Saturn pressure more next year than this year, right?
Okay.
So it's there. But like I said, it's common. You see this a lot, that never literally would you see a person like Smith involved in something this momentous, this intense, and not see challenging aspects, right? But the thing is to be on the right side of the theme. And there's no way any person, like if you even asked a Trumper, and you said, look, suppose you have to bet money, all the money you own, and you got to put it on either Smith or Trump. Who do you bet on? It's pretty easy. If you don't know that bet, then I feel sorry for you because you're going to be broke.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Now, I felt, and I'm just going to throw this out there, I'm doing a live at 3:00. I felt he's even going to have trouble getting appropriate people to represent him because nobody wants their name in that hat.
Well, not only that, that's 100% true, no question. And one of the things that is most amazing about this case is that a lot of the witnesses are his own lawyers. I mean, have you maybe thought about that? How crazy that
Oh
is?
my God, I thank you for bringing that up
I
again.
mean, if that doesn't tell you how much of an effing criminal this man is, that all these lawyers are going to be, because the lawyers were told, well, you have two options: you either tell the truth or we'll prosecute you, right?
Yeah.
And
And
that
they
guy
didn't want to lose
Corcoran,
their license.
you can
Yeah.
tell. But see, this is the thing with Trump. Trump, in the end, is an idiot because he brought in Corcoran apparently without even checking him out, because Corcoran is a serious ex-prosecutor. So Corcoran went in.
Oh.
Corcoran knew right away, this guy's a crook. I'm going to do what Comey did. I'm going to make recordings of everything that's going on. And now apparently Trump's lawyers, the ones he has that are left over, which typically aren't the best ones, because
Well, two of them stepped down today.
well, no wonder. But then they're really upset, because Corcoran said so many things. In other words, these people don't want the truth. They don't want the truth to come out, because if the truth ever comes out, then he's totally hosed, right? Well, it's a tough haul. It's a tough haul because now lawyers and his own employees, because they were also caught in the sting, right? Like the guy that drained the pool and all that stuff. That now they become witnesses because they were probably told, hey, you were obstructing justice. You're part of this. You were draining the pool to get all the records wet so we couldn't find them. We're going to put you in jail unless you tell us something. So he probably said, well,
Well, I know they also charged his little valet, his valet guy. They
yeah,
charged.
that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. Like, in other words, all the people around him, right? And, well, by the way, you saw that thing that he wrote about Meadows. That's another one, Meadows. Okay, let's talk about him. So Meadows in his chart, another chart with no time, but interestingly, he's got all these planets in, I think it's, in his case, it's Virgo, early Virgo, right? So
Yeah.
when Saturn entered Pisces, that is a major downturn for him. It comes to find him and put a lot of pressure on him, which meant now it is known that he's betraying Trump, probably because he was also told, hey, you have two options. How much prison time do you want to do? Tell us or we'll act on this, right?
And he's also part of the January 6th thing, too.
Exactly. And Meadows has intense Saturn pressure until next year, at least. That's just from what I know without a time, right? So,
Yeah.
but Meadows, he was Trump's perfect helper. I mean, he was trying to help him with January 6th. And now Trump has put in messages calling him names and saying, oh,
Yeah,
this
he
guy,
begged me for the job. Like when
begged
he
me for the
talked about
job.
Bannon, Bannon cried and begged me.
Yeah, no, but I mean, nobody likes to go to jail. It's that
Right.
simple. And I mean,
So
so that's a
Matt Gaetz is going to be under some microscope too. I guess the one that Trump got rid of, it's back now. It's the people that oversee Congress. They're going to investigate him on the child pornography or something and sharing nude photos in the house. Remember, he'd go around and share photos of nude women.
So is
Matt
that
Gaetz.
okay? That's a new one to me. I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, they're it's like, when you're supposed to be proper. What is the name of that place?
Oh, the ethics.
Yes, they've already opened up an investigation on him.
Huh. Well, there you go. That one. I wasn't tracking him as much lately. Like with Gates, I remember that he had a lot of pressure, but back in 2021 and 22, but he was never charged, so he got away with it. And then I haven't been paying attention to him for a while, but I'm glad that it's been, that it's
Yeah,
been
it's
going.
coming. Well, they're going down.
Yeah,
But
no,
have you taken a look at our President Biden? How's he doing?
Biden is doing fine. I mean, people are constantly talking Biden, Biden, Biden. That's why look what happened with the debt ceiling. Oh, the whole country's going to fall apart. He just talked to McCarthy, and McCarthy basically agreed with everything Biden said. Basically, I mean,
Well, there was an
things.
agreement, under the table agreement, that if they were going to try to kick him out, the Democrats would save him.
Well, for one thing, sure, yeah, they may have agreed on that. But by the way, he's already getting a lot of pressure
Oh, I know.
from his crew, and McCarthy he's not in a safe place. McCarthy, until at least next like late winter, it is a really problematic chart. Something can go totally wrong, and honestly, I could care less because he is not a good person. This
No.
guy operates on bad faith. He already came out and said how this is the Biden DOJ, attacking his.
Oh, I know. What a bunch of crap.
That, I mean, why don't you just stay silent? That is, you'll go down in history as an idiot, as a lying crook. I mean, why? Why say things like this?
Right.
So
Now, what about Putin? Any news on Putin?
Putin, well, I mean, remember we were saying a while back. His chart is not particularly getting better; it's getting worse, and things are not working well for Russia. Ukraine keeps getting more and more arms.
They're
Putin's,
fighting now. Kiev is totally loaded up and hitting them hard.
yeah, I don't. Putin, to me, I think the greatest risk is of a health breaking down. Now, sometimes that can be like a major problem that disables you, but sometimes what happens is when the chart is malfunctioning like that, then it's kind of like you lose your mojo and then they throw you out, which could fit with what you said that at some point they just, is that what you had kind of?
Yeah, I felt him running, like they were after him, and I feel he's very paranoid. He doesn't really trust anybody.
Well, would you?
No.
That's
Most underhanded people are paranoid.
I mean, are you kidding? One of the things, there are like all these adages in life. If you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. If you
right.
keep doing, I mean, what do you expect? You're arranging for people to like be thrown off buildings. Hey, I mean, you might be next, right? So
they may have even offered Trump, don't run for president. We'll consider removing these charges or tampering them down. But he would not stop. He thinks he's going to win. And I'm telling you, he's not going to win. I can't guarantee he won't run, but I'm telling you, he's not going to win.
Yeah, I'll second that. There's no way that, you can get into arguments about this, but to me, Trump is in kind of the end stages of massively bad karma, which he's cultivated. Karma is your action. It's what you've done. It's not complicated. What did you do? That movie, I know what you did last summer.
Yes.
Trump is, I know what you did last summer and the summer before and the summer before and the decade before. The man is a crook. He's done this his whole life. The thing is, he's done so many cases, something like 4,000 suits. Can you imagine 4,000 lawsuits in your lifetime? How crazy
Oh,
that is?
I heard 7,000 civil suits.
Okay, well, it's many. It's ridiculously high. So he's very familiar with the civil side of it, right? But the criminal side is way more complicated. Now, you could argue, someone who's being really optimistic about Trump, they could say, well, yeah, but he's in Florida. Maybe they can get one juror, who is a Trumper, who slips in there. I suppose that's possible. I don't know. But I think the level of criminality is so high. It's complicated.
I see people who would say, I'll die for him, listening to all the evidence and saying, oh, hell no. There was a lot of Trumpsters in the grand jury in Georgia, too. And they said, they interviewed them, and they said that that after hearing all that people would be surprised how low life he is.
Yeah, it just came to me. You have to remember, too, that one of the things you see in astrology is you look at when something starts, and then you go from there to see the pressure points. And one of the things is when he came into the 2015, 2016, where Saturn was, now what's happened is Saturn has reached the quarter point to that, and that puts pressure. In other words, it kind of reminds you, oh, you started that. Here are the problems with what you did back then, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you could see back then, if you had any kind of mind, how much of a degenerate criminal the man is. Everything he does goes that way. All falsehoods. It's all foul. So then now he's running into it because it's the sort of the turning point of that, right? So it makes perfect sense in my opinion.
Well, my friend, we did about 42 minutes.
Sounds good. All right. Well,
is that good? Because I got to get ready. My sister's coming, and we're going to sit down and watch our Jack.
All right. Well, we'll talk again soon. And the way things are going,
I think we'll hook up next week again. Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Thank you so much, Andre.